Thanks to chair, co-chair, and reporters. I would like to extend my thanks to organizers to giving me this opportunity. And I'm also highly thankful to all participants who are joining my presentation on conservation agriculture based intensification sustainably improves the food, energy, and water nexus for smallholders, farmers in eastern Gangetic plains of South Asia. Myself, Mahesh Gathala. I am working as a system agronomist with CIMMYT Bangladesh. And I will also thanks to my all co-authors who contributed in this paper. The Eastern Gangetic Plains is part of the Indo-Gangetic Plains in South Asia, which is known as local productivity, poor agriculture mechanization, highly vulnerable to climate change, which is like floods, cyclone, storms, drought, acidity, salinity, biological diseases, so and so. Poor market infrastructure, injudicious use of external inputs and natural resources, and also known as for small holding with fragmented lands. It covers 180 districts in 3 countries. It hosting the total population of 450 million with high density of 1,000 persons per square kilometers. It's dominated by small and marginal farms, which is 70 to 90% dominated. Total cultivable land is around 30 million hectare. The crop intensity 173%, which means the 2 crops annually that farmers harvested. It's dominated by rice wheat cropping system, which is rice, wheat, and then new emerging cropping system like rice, maize, and then other cropping system like rice, legumes, and so on. The approach and process, conservation agriculture-based sustainable intensification, which is called CASI, with the overall aim is to reduce the poverty by improving the productivity, profitability, and sustainability of smallholder agriculture in the Eastern Gangetic Plains zones. The CASI covers the conservation agriculture-based management practices, efficient use of external inputs and natural resources, economic, profitable, and viable. It provides efficient and sustaining eco-farming system, which is cropping and livestock farming, which leads to system perspective resilience, saves water and energy for future. It provides clean environment and is also conserve biodiversity, which is soil, fauna, and plant, and that's contributed to achieve the sustainable development goals of food, water, and energy nexus, and boost the economic growth of the region. The Sustainable and Resilient Farming System Intensification Project ran 2014 to present day, covering 3 countries, India, Nepal, and Bangladesh, which was around USD 10 million, in size. Project was led by CIMMYT in partnership of over 20 international and national organizations. Designed and implemented on over 400 on-farm participatory trials across the geography and cropping system, spreading a district of the 3 countries. That's led to develop the trust among farm communities, researchers, and extension personnel, generation of the field evidence, based science evidences, the convergence with ongoing schemes and programs of government and private sector, orientation of rural micro-entrepreneurship for rural youth, employment, and inform science-based policy to the policymakers, and build institutional linkages, innovations, and capacity building, of a range of the stakeholders, and cross-border learnings and sharing of the knowledge. The research experimental details was executed with 40 participants with on-farm trials, and then these across the geography of 3 countries. which is T1 as called as conventional system, which is based on both tillage and manual transplanting and broadcasting and manual seon. T2 is partial CASI, whereas wheat monsoon crop was grown as under conventional system, whereas dry season crop was grown under conservation agriculture. T3 was full CASI, where both season crops were grown under no-till and conservation agriculture system. T4 was full CASI, where both crops were seasons crops were grown under conservation agriculture. Only the difference is direct seeded rice was replaced by mechanized transplanting under unparalleled conditions. The benefits of conservation agriculture-based sustainable intensifications, evidences from farmers participatory research in EGP, more than 400 farmers. Our results clearly showed that conservation agriculture improves the farm system yield by 5 to 10%. It reduces 8 to 17% irrigation water. It also reduces 26 to 44% labor use. It's reduced 46 to 62% energy use. It improves farm profitability by 16 to 56%, and it also reduces 11 to 16% of CO2 equivalent emissions. If you look at the cropping system analysis and scenarios, the both dominating cropping system, rice and rice wheat systems are not competitive to the other alternative cropping systems, which means we need to be diversify our cropping system with alternative cropping system options and diversification options. So like diversification with rice maize or rice lentil gives higher system yield, but rice lentil system have its own problems like biological stresses and all, but rice maize system is provide higher productivity with more resiliency. The intensifying into triple cropping also gives better yields on rice, rice and rice wheat systems. The meta-analysis of the data of trials, it shows that the percentage change over baseline of conventional system with full CASI and partial CASI in terms of grain yield, the system rice equivalent release is increased by 2 to 5%. The irrigation water use reduced by 10 to 35%. The total energy use reduced by 4 to 12%, and the CO2 equivalent emissions reduced by 6 to 12%. Similarly, the water productivity improves by 4 to 10%. The change that labor use reduced by 10 to 40% in partial and full CASI over to conventional, and then it's also reduced the production cost on by 10 to 20%, and it improves the gross margins of the farm by 10 to 25% in improvement. In general, when we increase the level of management, we also increase the CO2 equivalent emissions, all global potentials, with increase of rice equivalent yield and gross margin. But by practicing the CASI, we can achieve higher system equivalent grain yield and then system net income with low CO2 equivalent emissions in both rice wheat and rice maize systems. It also shows that when we do the analysis of better indicators and desirable through that. In this analysis shows that desirable towards outer for all parameters. It shows that all parameters shows more desirable in CASI, double crop CASI compared to conventional system. It also shows that single crop CASI better than conventional system in all parameters. It's indicated that by adoption of conservation agriculture, we can improve all parameters, and that can be contributed in sustainable development goals. We have to have a very successful business model for large scaling out. And then this project was used as an example as West Bengal of farmer support groups, which is farmers clubs, federations, producer organizers, cooperatives, and so on. So to facilitate and engage between stakeholders, to coordinate support for farmers from external agencies, provide benefit to local communities. Here, the project role was catalytic to fill the gaps where is needed, and to bring all stakeholders under one umbrella to implement their activities through these clubs and then farmers groups. And where that each stakeholders have their own and own contributions, where research and interest. The research and extension department's role was to build the capacity and provide technical backstopping. Private sector role was to make the availability or access to the machinery and then link to the manufacturer.